If you're seeing this on YouTube and you'd like to join our meetup, please just go to www.meetup.com/florence.aws.user.group.meetup. It's free to join. It's free, and I love as having as many people in this group as possible. Why did I start this group? Because of the pandemic. That's right. I was supposed to return to work somewhere mid-pandemic. We'll call it that. And then I guess Delta hit, and they said, "Don't come back to work." And my wife just looked at me and said, "Man, you've got to do something different." So I had run a meetup previously, and I had 20 people, and that was you met in person back then. And I thought, wow, I'm doing great. I got 20 people in this group. This is fantastic. And now, you got 600 plus. We got like almost 700 now in this group. And going, what? So it's all because of my wife, and she's right. And when you try to help people, you end up being doubly helped or doubly blessed. And so when I started this group, I thought, well, I know a little about getting certified, so I can teach how to get certified. And at that time, I had 8 certifications. Now I have 22 and counting. So I have certifications in AWS, Azure, Google, Terraform, etc. And now I am a certified Microsoft trainer. There you have it. And this is kind of what I do for at work. So it's not unusual, but I typically take a certification, every month or sometimes 2 or 3. So if you want to get a certification and you want to talk to somebody who knows how to get them, I'm your man. So with that said, that doesn't mean that's all we do, but I always seem to, whatever technology we're talking about, I do wrap a certification in there. So there you go. A little bit of my career path. I've been in IT for a very long time. Matter of fact, my first program was written in punch cards. It was ab initio quantum calculations on a CO2 molecule. And then that work was actually published. And then I spent some time in the military after I graduated from college, and some time in the government, and about 20 plus years in education. And at that time, I married this wonderful person right here, Carlotta, my wife. And she was not supposed to have kids, and we ended up having 9 of them. And so my wife ended up, though she was not supposed to have any kids, ended up having 9 of them. So, you have to support kids. So I moved from education to industry and about 13 years ago, and it was a very difficult transition. I'd done a lot of contracting. I thought I knew everything about industry, and it was very difficult. And I definitely I have gotten I deserve my stripes, that's for sure. And so I started off after a few companies from company to company. I finally found one that was had some staying power. I've been there for 11 plus years, a Fortune 500 company in the Cincinnati area. I started off as a front-end .NET developer. I became a DevOps tech lead. I became the QA architect, and then they asked me to do some training. And they were so blown away by it, they made me manager of training and documentation. Now, I wasn't too happy with that and documentation added to my name because I thought it was extremely boring. But with Chat GPT, I went, woohoo, because Chat GPT automatically documents your code. You just can't, and it creates documentation very rapidly for you. You're going to see that today. The thing I'm most interested in is using AI for accelerated workflow, and you're going to see that kind of come across over and over again. Now, what's coming up with the meetups? We can see here today, we're doing the algorithmic trading, and we're going to show you how to get your Python certifications. Got a little study plan there, and we're talking about Chat GPT, really going to be central theme today. And then coming up on January 21st, we'll be doing the Azure Architect certification. A lot of people ask me to do the professional architect certification for Azure, and that's what we're going to be doing. Give you a nice study plan for that, and I'll show you some great videos to review to prep for that. We do have someone who's volunteered to do a solutions architect in the early February timeframe. So if that comes along, that will be scheduled. We're just working out the details right now. If you have a burning desire to do a certification, or excuse me, a presentation, just contact me through the meetup, and I'll be more than glad to set you up, believe me. With that said, data engineering, when I was the QA architect, I worked with data systems. So I'm going to be doing a data system DP 203. And also after that, it'll be the Azure AZ500. And then coming along will be, I'll do the Google Professional Architect, Cloud Architect, a very cherished certification since there's not a lot of those. People who get those typically do fairly well. That will be March 25th. And then in the April timeframe, I'm going to be doing the DevOps interview, how to prepare for that and how to score high when you go in for that interview. I had originally planned on doing Bitcoin. And so I actually changed the direction of this presentation because of what's happened in the Bitcoin market. $32 billion wiped out in a weekend. Unbelievable. I got some traders on the people who trade on the line. Does anyone want to comment on this? Some of you guys would have some experience with trading.
Woohoo! That's all I got.
Really?
Buckle in.
Turns out that North Korea is funding its nuclear program with stolen Bitcoin. So I have previous military background, so I go, oh wow. So I did steer a little differently. For you guys who have the financial background, if you want to comment, feel free to do so. But I'm going to show you how to use GTP today. So with that, today I'm going to do my standard intro. We're going to do an icebreaker. I'll be calling on you, or you can comment. I'm going to show you how to write a program using ChatGPT to make your cat happy. We're going to look at the CPEP and the CPAP, the entry level and associate Python certifications, and what good study plans for those. I'm talking about algorithmic training application just a little bit and how to work with that with GPT. And then we'll be looking at, and then at the end of the appendix, I have a few PCAP exam questions that you can look at. And I'm actually going to take this examination sometime in early January. I'll give you the full set of study questions, which is over 100. And if you go through those, you should pass. With that said, my standard introduction, you've seen this before. It turns out we are right in the middle of a paradigm shift. Our technical DNA is rapidly changing. Cloud technology is transforming how businesses create value, how people work, and ultimately how people live. And here it is. Here it comes. How we think. Now, what does that mean? Well, we used to remember facts. Now remember just where to go get them, right? So we're thinking differently. Who does the thinking? Oh my goodness. The technology will advantage certain people and not others. You're going to see that coming. And here it comes. And what we think. So this is kind of interesting, but when you learn to interact with these chat bots, you learn one of the skill sets is to learn how to talk to them to extract the data that you need. So this is an interesting environment that we're coming. I used to say that AI is coming, but AI is here. And I used to have this woeful picture. I don't have it in here right now, where a guy standing, where we've seen these factories or disruptive technologies actually shut one thing down after another. It's kind of a economic Darwinism, where one thing rises up and gobbles up another. You're going to see this with GPT 3 and 4. So you can see the difference in the learning models. The GPT-3 engine has about 175 billion parameters, and GPT-4 will have somewhere up to the trillion, but they're also working on not just number of parameters, but optimizing those systems. I am using this today. This is why I hopped on so quickly on GPT chat, because I'm using the GPT-3 engine right now in my work. So one of the things I do is I create educational content. And one of the problems with the educational content within an organization, they'll give you a PowerPoint and it's just a content dump. And when you animate that or create training from it, it's really dry. So you want to integrate a story with that. And so what we do is we come along here and we get a log line. And if you know anything about making scripts or movies, that kind of your character and what they're trying to accomplish. And you throw the log line in there and you let the artificial intelligence write the story. And you wrap the story around the content. And so you can see we just threw this log line in here on the green was all written by the artificial intelligence. Julie, I understand that this is a way of doing things and it can be difficult to adjust. However, I believe that learning and trying new things can help you grow. It's important to stay open-minded and embrace the new ideas. Bob says, I appreciate that, but it's just hard to come in and have to relearn a lot of things. And Julie says, I understand, however, I believe that if you put in the time and effort to learn the new methods, it will pay off in the end. Plus, you can always leverage your existing skills to help you understand. Then you hit another piece of content, the knee-jerk content, and you throw it in there and you let the AI write this. So the green's being written and is really well written. And you're animating characters to go along with this. So it's, just what used to take us 3 weeks to do, we can now do in an hour and have a really good script. So you can see how these AI technologies can really accelerate what you're doing. With that said, we will go right to the icebreaker, and then we will kind of ping off this icebreaker and you see our first program from Chat GPT. So, all right, guys, here you come. And I'm gonna talk to some of you guys as we do this. This is my funnest part. I got this open. All right. Are you a dog person or a cat person? And tell us about your pet.
Okay. Do I am I telling am I answering this?
You can do that. Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. Okay. I used to be a dog person, but now I don't have any more dogs. But we have cats that act like dogs. So I guess I'm a cat person now.
Well, with that said, I have got a program for you. Are you ready? This
Yep.
program will be how to make my cat happy code. What do you think about that? So
Oh my God, I love
we're
it.
going to use GPT to automatically write a Python program that has a happiness threshold and activities to make your cat happy. Are you ready?
Oh my God.
There we
Smart.
go.
This is good stuff.
Here we go. So let me just minimize this and I'll bring it GPT. And I'll alternate between calling it Chat GPT and GPT just because Chat GPT is a tongue twister. Okay. And bring up Chat GPT. And you can go ahead and register for this as well. It's free right now and you can play around with it. So we're going to go here and take this statement right here and we're going to paste it in a Chat GPT. So let's paste that in and we're going to write a program in Python that has a happiness threshold and activities to make my cat happy. So let's run it. And so it's going to create a Python program to make my cat happy. It has a happiness threshold. It has activities, play with a toy, pet your cat, give your cat treats. And happiness starts at 0. And then you have the happiness function there. And
You
each
see the
time
+1.
each time you do one, it adds a +1. And
Yeah.
it goes, well, is your cat happy or not? And it checks the happiness threshold. And if it's not, you keep running the function. Yeah, there you go.
Very nice.
So it automatically ran the program for me. Now, this program is in Python. What if I wanted it in another language? So let's have it write this program in JavaScript. So I say write this in JavaScript. So immediately it's going to write this program in JavaScript. Same program.
That's interesting.
All right. So ChatGPT understands multiple languages. So going to the next slide, we can see that I took this program, previously I translated to C# to JavaScript to Go. So whatever languages you want it to be, most large languages or well-known languages are handled by ChatGPT. All right. And I got a lot of examples for you guys today, so we're just getting started. I'm gonna talk a little bit, and from my perspective, because I teach this stuff, it is just ready to use. You know, for if you're a programmer and you're doing really detailed programming, I mean, there's a lot to figure out. But if you're like me or teaching, and you need examples and you need documentation and you need content, this is just gold. So for me, it's just right in there. Then I'll talk a little bit about the interface here, and the great thing about ChatGPT is it keeps context in conversation that allows you to iterate your code. It's perfect for refactoring. So you see, if I don't like something, I just ask it to redo it, or ask it to add something, or take something away, or change it to another language. That's how powerful it is. It's perfect for refactoring code. So if you're an agile person, I was a Scrum Master for 3 years in my career. I actually, the big thing was slice through, write some working code, right? And then what you do is you iterate through and you refactor. And this is a perfect refactoring engine. I asked Chat, and from here's a Victor put in a chat comment. I asked ChatGPT to create a Python app to interpret a 2-dimensional array the other day. The function was pretty good. Yes. Another way that GTP is good code is it also runs on a rewards engine. So you have a bunch of people looking at code saying, that's good code, let's train. So it's turning out that that's what's kind of blowing people away, that the codes that are being created seems to be optimized, seems to be really good. And it's not just a bunch of gobbledygook that we've seen in the past. So, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that it's running on this rewards engine. All right, with that said, let's move on. And we're going to take a look at this example. This example actually comes from Nick Chapsis, so from YouTube, and there's tons of YouTubes being released on this, by the way, right now. And what he just said, let's write a C# method that returns good morning when it's morning, good afternoon when it's afternoon, and good evening when it's evening. And what I'm going to be interested in is writing the unit test. We're going to have a little talk about that. So let's write this first and then write the unit test. And we're going to bring that GTP back up. And what I'm going to do is with GTP, I'm going to clear the context. Okay, just going to refresh it so it knows I'm talking about something else right now. So I'll refresh it and I'll paste this in there. All right, and let's see if it can write that a C# program that's going to say hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Okay, it's going to write a greetings method. And current time is greater than 0, less than 12. Then you say good morning. Turn time is greater than 12 and less than 17. You say good afternoon. And then you return good evening. Okay, not bad. And it's going to explain how the code works. Simple code, right? Not rocket science. But now this is what I was very interested in. Let's tell it to write some tests. Now, if you misspell something, it actually tries to figure that out, and it'll typically give you the right answer regardless. So let's write some tests. Here's an example of how you might write some tests. All right, so it's using assert. Okay. And it's probably using in unit. You might want to switch that to X unit. We won't do that right now because I want to try something else. Yeah. You know how long it would how long would it take me to write this code to test this method? You know, and you just wrote it automatically, and this is fine. Nothing wrong with this. So, I mean, one of the things you're asking, if you're a QA person, you just saw all your tests written automatically, you might be thinking of using these AI techniques, right? So let's do something different. Let's bring up this slide deck real quick here. What I want to do is use a theory of X unit. Oh, wow. What the heck is that? Well, let's try it. And then we're going to use theory of X unit. Let's try that. See if it knows what to do there. All right, so I may not know what theory of X unit is. And so I just ask it to do that, and it's doing it for me. But I might want to ask it, well, what is theory of X unit? And then it'll explain to me what it is. So as opposed to me running to Google and searching and searching and searching within the context of what I'm doing, it's going to explain to me what I'm working with. So so it's done. What is X unit? You know, no, what is theory of X units? What is the theory of feature of X unit is a way to write parameterized tests in X unit. Yeah, a parameterized test is a test that can run multiple times with different input values. Yeah, there you go. And it's going to give me an example of it. Look at that. That rocks. So it's not just, you know, for coding, it's a great learning tool and a great teaching tool. And now I have all this documentation because the code's documented. One of the things I did earlier, and I won't do it here, is I ask it, you can change the way it comments. And you can say, okay, can you comment this code? Oh, let's try it. Can you comment this code in terms of a heroic poet? Comment this code like a Greek Homer poet. Let's try that. Let's see if we'll do something with that. And if the demo gods are good to me, it will do that. If not, it'll give me gobbledygook and I'll just move on because we have a lot to show today. Let's try one for trading. Typically, when you might be doing some trading, you might want to write some Python code. And this is just a toy example that might do something periodically, like maybe look at the value of your stock, and might end it within a minute or something like that. So we're going to actually write some Python code that prints hello to the screen, and every 5 seconds it stops in 1 minute. And now I'm going to show you how to test this code. So we're going to move from here and show you an easy way to test Python code. So let's move to here. And let's go ahead and put this in. And Jay Collins says, ask it about Sam Barkman-Fried, and because it's 2 years and out of date, it won't know what you're talking about. Yeah, probably. Thanks for that comment. And so what I asked it to do here was write some code that would print to the screen, hello world. It's going to every 5 seconds, so we'll sleep for 5 seconds. And if the time's greater than the end time, which is a minute, then it will stop. Now, let me tell you, if you're just getting into Python programming, and what typically when you go to a course, it's going to say install this, install that, install Anaconda, and by the time it's all over, you maybe you've run out of memory or you're just exhausted from the installs, and you don't have to do that. If you want to run Python, just go to your browser, and you should have like a Gmail account, and if you do, you can just type in Google Colab. And Google Colab is like a Jupyter notebook on steroids. And so if you get familiar with AI and running AI, a lot of people have Jupyter notebooks, and they use them to run they use them to create a lot of AI code. And what I'm going to do here is just create a little code block here in Jupyter Notebook. And we have a link. I have a link to this later on. I'm going to put the code in here, and I'm going to run it and see if it works. And there you go. You can see it's starting to print hello world to the screen. It'll print that every 5 seconds. Yeah, so I just, and I'll show you a link here, guys, to Jupyter. But use Google Colab to run Python. Okay. If you are just starting off, that way you don't have to do all the installs and all that stuff. And there you go, it's working. So not only did it create code that I needed, it actually created code that works. All right. So, and this will stop after a minute. Any comments on this while we're waiting for this to stop? Has anybody used Google Colab before in the group? And it stopped.
No.
Okay, yeah, pretty cool, right? You just you're immediate coding, yeah. Oh yes, Jay Collins has. Great, Jay. All right, with that said, let's move on to the next slide. And so this really does raise two important questions here. And I actually got this question during one of the forums that I was teaching. One, does this ruin coding? And two, should I learn to code? That one shocked me. Should I learn to code? Because it's going to do all my coding for me. So what do you think? Does this ruin coding? Yes or no? What do you think, guys? Anybody have an idea?
No, I'd probably say this makes it way more flexible. I mean, holy hell. That
Yeah,
as a developer,
yeah,
this is
yeah.
amazing.
I'm going to tell you, my last slide actually deals with this question, so I will delay my answer to this, but no, it doesn't. And you can see you're learning to code from the code, so it's really interesting. Should I learn to code? What do you think?
I would say, as a matter of fact, if anything, I'd say this is a quicker tool for you to learn how to code because
Absolutely.
it gives you a breakdown, it gives you descriptions, you can, basically transmute it to a different code set. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so I actually agree with both of those answers. I think not only should you learn to code, I think you should learn to be a good architect because you need to learn how to put the code together, right? Matter of fact, it kind of shifts you to another level of thinking. You're not thinking about the weeds of coding, you're thinking about how it all fits together and what questions you should ask and what you should build. Okay, let me ask another question. I don't know if you guys ever seen Anastasia in tech. I love her, by the way. And she asked a bigger question. Am I going to lose my job? This is definitely what I call a disruptive technologies. And we've seen disruptive technologies over the years. And I'll tell you a story. When I first started college, many years ago, maybe 40 years ago, because I've been in this business for a while. I remember they had a program. It was really big. It was called data processing. And you walk by and there's a room full of young women learning data processing. What they were doing, they were typing in punch cards, right? I thought, well, this definitely might be the job for me. And so I went back next year to sign up for the program, and they had shut it down because they had figured out how to get the computers to create the punch cards from the code, so no one had to type in punch cards anymore. And so that it just completely, all those people lost their jobs. And I know that's a simple example, but you've seen this happen over and over again when one technology eats another. And this is definitely a disruptive one. So here's the question: am I going to lose my job? Yes or no? What do you think?
Depends on the person. If they're involving with it, then no.
That is exactly what she said. That's exactly what she said. If you accept and adapt this technology, you will keep your job and you'll move forward. If you don't, yes, you're probably going to lose your job. I thought, wow. So anyway, if you haven't ever seen Anastasia in tech, she's got a link down here. I'll put it in the chat real quick. She actually does a chat on this technology, so I'll put it in the chat real quick. Right? And this is all in the links too that I gave in the slides. So when you guys download the slides, go ahead and make sure you go through that. And see, there's a comment here from Brandon. This would be good because you can ask it what is a string and it would, and yes, it'll tell you exactly what's in the code. All right, with that said, I mentioned that I was a Scrum Master for 3 years. That's when I was the DevOps tech lead. I was both the tech lead and the Scrum Master at my company. And I got to tell you, I think in the last a decade, I think one of the biggest disappointments has been the adoption of Agile, because Agile promises a lot and it seems it has the right stuff in it, but you don't quite get the bump that people are telling you're going to get. So I think it's a good program, but it doesn't quite give you what you expect. And what ChatGPT does, it gives Agile DevOps wings. Because one thing is, as DevOps, we say the documentation is not all in a big, you're not writing documentation all the time, and documentation is in the code. Well, ChatGPT is documenting code like crazy. It refactors code, it comments codes, it debugs codes, it explains code, and it could deploy code if you put it into your pipeline. I'm not sure you have the ability to do that today, but as this moves on, you're going to see people are going to do that, where they're writing code with GPT and they're it's going right to their pipeline. The difference between DevOps and Agile Scrum is this. Agile Scrum says the definition of done is deployable code. And the problem with that definition is deployable code means developers are always hiding behind that. Like, oh yeah, it's deployable, but I got to comment it, so it's not quite ready. Yeah, see, it's running, but there's a few things. No, DevOps definition of done is deployed. See, so there's a big difference between that. And this particular piece allows it to be refactored, commented, debugged, explained, and then deployed. So it's going to give DevOps wings. So if you're a Scrum master, you're in the Scrum business, you're going to go, oh, wow. Yeah, you have to, and Jay Collins, yeah, you need to know what to ask it, right? So, but what we're seeing right now is pretty amazing. So with that, if you're in the business of data and you're in the business of trading, you're going to know about Python, right? And or you need to know about Python. So a lot of people ask me about the Python certifications, and so I have a link here for Python certifications. Let me see, did I put Anastasia's link in there? Yeah, if you want to see Anastasia's videos right there, here's a link for the Python certifications if you're interested in getting Python certified. And I'm going to give you a study plan for those. So there's actually within the Python organization here, Python Institute, you can get the associate Python or the entry level Python. The entry level Python is a PCEP. The associate is a PCAP. They also have a testing one, which is a PCAT. And all these others seem to be coming. They're kind of in the works. All right. And Victor added, in my early days, I copied in Foxbase. Yeah, the internet was not a thing. I used Jennifer code generation to learn how to code. Yeah, yeah. I started before the internet as well. I get it. Yeah, yeah. Then you see, Victor, with that said, you see the how amazing this is. Because if you start where I started, my first computer was a Commodore 64, and you go, wow, how far we've come. So if you go to the PCEP, basically it's a lifetime certification, which is wonderful because I'm always having to recertify. There's only 30 questions, and it's only $59. Woohoo! If you take the PCAP, you're going to see that, wow, it is lifetime. Yes, I like that. The exam is 65 minutes. It's 40 questions, but a whopping $295. So wow, I spent my certification budget for this year, so I'm waiting to early January to take this certification. When I do, I'll let you know. I like to put study plans together for anything I do, and I like them to be, not too bad. And one day I created a study plan, and it was for one of the professional exams, and it had 1,000,000 boxes in it. And some guy said, Mike, I just ain't got time. I ain't got time to do all that. So I started trying to condense my study plans so they're a lot easier for people to digest. So if you're going for the PCEP or the PCAP, my suggestion is to use Google Colab. Okay, right. Freecodecamp.com. Yes, right. That's a way to do that as well. But I would suggest you use Google Colab because it's free and you can immediately start programming and checking examples. We're going to do that today. So we'll see that today. Now, typically what I do when I'm studying for an exam is I don't just watch a video course, and here Andrea Welch has a great one on Udemy. What I do is I also get a questions bank and I do them both together. So what I'm doing, I'm answering questions and I'm taking the video course. So when I come to something in the video that I might ignore, I've heard it in a question, it just sticks in my mind. The other reason I like question banks is typically a good question bank has links to material that you can go and find out more, but also a good question bank will show you where you're weak and you can study more. So Sandeep Kumar has a good way on Udemy as well. And also now you can use ChatGPT to work with your questions and help you answer things and find out more knowledge about the system. We're going to see that today. Also with the PCAP, Andrea Welch also has a great course on Udemy. And I got a full dump that I'll be giving you sometime in January. If you go through that, you'll probably do real well on the PCAP. I also like to have some type of application, like a trading application in this instance, to kind of cement that knowledge, into something. You built something, right? You worked with something. And what we're going to do today is going to be kind of interesting. We're going to look at a course, algorithmic trading and quantitative analysis using Python, that is on Udemy, and we're going to make it better by using chatbot. Explain that by using ChatGPT. I'm going to show you that today. So a few demos real quick. All the links for the different areas are here, what I've referenced here. So just go to the links to find out what you want. And let's go to our first demo. So one of the things that happens when you get exam questions, many times they ask you if the code is good or not. And many times you get some code and it's just erroneous. And so, but you you just say, oh, that's erroneous, but you may not know all the reasons why. So you can actually go in and GPT will fix code. So if you have a bug in code, you can actually paste that code into GTP, excuse me, ChatGPT and it will fix it for you or tell you what's wrong with it and fix it. So let's see that real quick. So if you've spent a long time debugging, you just can't find your bug, you can bring it to ChatGPT. I gotta learn how to say that name, and it'll fix it for you. So let's see if it'll do that for us. We're gonna go here. We're gonna, fix this code. I'm gonna put a little return here. I'm gonna paste the code in. It may not, there we go, paste it in for me. Let's run it and see if it can tell us what's wrong with it and fix it for us. All right, to fix this code, you need to end if and else statements properly and add a colon to each one. Well, there you go. Just fix my code. What do you think about that? That's just cool. And this is simple code, and I haven't had the opportunity to put some complex stuff in there, but I look forward to doing that. Yeah, and it's explaining what it did and how to fix the code. And now if you put this into Google Colab, it will run properly. All right, with that said, let's go to the next example. Wait, what slide? So this is actually an example from the appendix. So if you go down to the appendix, I did put 10 questions in there from the PCAP. All right, so you can see that in the appendix. And if you just start scrolling down, I give you the question and the answer. Okay. But you can actually, and here's, I think, the number 3, we're going to deal with this one with GPT. I'm going to just abbreviate to GPT so you guys know what I'm talking about and stop trying to say chat GTP because I'm getting tongue twisted on that one. So let's go back to the slide we were on. And I actually, each time I do a presentation, I typically have some type of study plan, and you'll see things similar to this in those study plans. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. No problem. So we went through this example and showed you that it debugs code, but now it's also going to be an amazing teacher because I'm going to put this in. Hey, that looks great, but heck, I don't know what a pass function is. So I can go to GTP and ask it, what is a pass function? So let's clear this. I like to clear the context when I do this. So in Python, what is a pass? What is pass? All right, put that in there. And now GTP is going to explain to me what pass is. It's a placeholder in a compound statement like this, and there's no code to be executed. Okay. And it actually gives me an example. If something pass, else do something. So here, the sum underscore condition is true if a statement will do nothing. Okay, because it passes. So maybe you want to, you just put it in there because you're writing code, right? And yeah, okay, Matt, yeah, this will be recording. I'll be sending this out to the group when I'm done. And yeah, run empty code, right? Krishna, you've seen it before. So I actually hit try again. So I wanted to see if it would give me some different code if I tried again. And yeah, give me just a little bit, do something, put that in there, but didn't make much changes. So good. So it's a good teacher. So if you don't know what something is, just type in, hey, what is that? Here's something as a teacher. One of the things that I find very difficult basically is writing questions, right? It's just very intense. It takes a long time. And so if I'm creating content, maybe I can ask ChatGPT to write a question for me about pass. So let's grab this. I want to say write a question with 4 selections, 1 right about Python pass. Let's see if it can write a question for me. If I could get it to do this, this will save me a tremendous amount of time in creating content. So let's put it in here. What is the function of pass keyword in Python? A, it uses
Wow.
it's used to end a loop. E, it is used to skip over a value in a sequence. C, it is used as a placeholder for code that has not been implemented yet. D, it is used to define a function with no return value. The correct answer is C.
Wow.
It's used as a placeholder for code that is not implemented yet. Wow. Well, let's see. Change this to a true false
That's
question.
crazy. True or false? Oh my gosh. So now the professors have a little aid here.
Oh, everyone's worried about this because you can go in and ask it to write a paper. It'll write a paper, and so they don't know who wrote the paper. You know, education just got challenged. If there wasn't already an educational bubble, you know, because it's becoming more and more expensive, but quality of education on the web is going up, up, up. Now you're challenged with GPT. I mean, it's amazing. So is the pass keyword in Python used as a placeholder for code that has not been implemented yet? True or false? The correct answer is true. And then I could ask it to write a scenario around it, and we're going to visit a scenario a little bit later in this presentation. So I'll show you that when we get to it. Okay. All right. Yeah, GTP can write questions for you as an instructor. That's wonderful.
Cool.
GGP also optimizes code. So if you actually go to the PCAP example or link that I showed in the study plan, I think in one of the chapters, it asks you to write a code optimizer, and basically a password optimizer there. And the solution that they give you is this. All right. But we're going to ask GPT to write a Python code that generates passwords that considers an alphabet, number, and special characters. Let's do that and see what kind of code it gives us. Does it give us something this long, or does it give us something like this? Okay. So we're going to do that real quick. And we'll clear the context. What do you think so far?
It's cool. That's just crazy. The part about it just generates a multiple choice question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm very curious about how it's able to come up with all of this.
And that's a good question. I'll explain that to you.
Excellent.
Okay, so right here, they have done that. So basically, you can see they've created a password generator. That's all the code there is to it. Compare that to what you see
Wow.
here over on the screen. Let's see if it works. So we're going to go ahead and take this and we're going to put it into our favorite Python
Well,
on the web, Google Colab, right? So let's do that. Let's stick it in and see if it generates a password for us. Okay, so it didn't
oh,
like something in here. Let's see what it is. Oh, I got the comments. It doesn't want the comments in there. Okay, right.
nice.
There it is. Generate a password. Let's make the password 100 long.
Oh, wow.
So we'll change this to 100.
Oh,
There you go. There's your password.
nice.
Password generator, and it didn't take this much code. It only took this much code. So it optimizes code
No.
for you. Yeah, absolutely. All right, with that
Wow.
said, let's see here. Another example. Yep, that was the password length. And so now when you're working, so we're going to move on to the next section. We've kind of got an introduction to GPT, kind of see how powerful it is, some of the things it can do.
Mhm.
And now we're going to look at getting data, automating trading, and using the AWS cloud with GPT. So not going to go into a lot of depth here, but we're going to show you some of the basics, okay? If you go to the
Cool.
course that we suggested right here, and this is algorithmic trading, here's a link. He starts you off with the Yahoo Finance. And it's because Yahoo Finance basically is an easy way to start to see stock data on the web. And so what we're going to do, we're going to ask GPT to write a program using Python to actually pull a year of Microsoft stock data to the terminal. Okay, so let's put this in here
Cool.
and let's see if GPT can do that for us. Okay, let's go to GPT. I'm going to clear the context so it knows I'm talking about something else. Let me paste this in. Now, there's some things that GPT can't do, and that's like search the web. It doesn't have that capability, but it can write programs for you. And sometimes if it thinks you're trying to search the web, it'll say, I can't do that, but then it'll figure out that you can because you're not really asking it to search the web. I'm just asking it to write a program for me using Y Finance. So let's see if we try that again, if it's going to think that I can do that. I may have to reword what I'm asking it to do. So just be aware that part of this, getting really good at GPT, is actually learning how to talk to it as well, how to ask the right
Mm,
question.
very cool.
Let's see here. Okay, now it's thinking about it. Oh, it decided to give it to me. Okay, it says I need to install Y Finance. Okay, using pip. Okay, it's going to continue writing the program for me now. There you go. Cool.
Wow.
All right, so just wrote a simple program to grab stock. Let's see if this works in Google Colab. Ready? It actually explains the program and what's in it and why it works, okay? And it's telling you, hey, you can use this, but I can't provide you with real-time data because I can't search the web, but it gave me a program to do that anyway. Notice the pip install. So I'm going to need to use this when I work with Google Colab because basically Y Finance is not in Google Colab. So what happened was we used to use Panda Reader for this, but Panda Reader is not really being supported anymore. So someone wrote a nice program on GitHub, a little method using called Y Finance that does the job that Pandas readers used to do. So I want to do a pip install. Let me see. So I use my little shebang here, pip install. So I'm going to install Y Finance first. Okay, I believe it's already installed. It's because I'd done this earlier. So, but we just went through the procedure. So now let's put the code in there and see if it's going to give us the Microsoft year of data. You ready?
I just sees run cell.
There you
There it
go.
is.
Yeah. Wow.
Bingo.
Thank you so much for your input. All right. Well, it works. So GPT works. So there you go. Oh, that said, we'll move on. And another thing we want to look at basically, as far as learning is concerned, if you're going to do trading, you can do high frequency trading. We're not going to do that. Very expensive. But you're going to use API trading, right? And you're going to run your code continuously or periodically. And to get started with it, you need an API sandbox to write code and experiment with trading. So that would be nice if it was free, right? So does anyone here use a demo sandbox?
E-Trade has one.
Yeah, all right. And that's a good question. Who has one? So if you go to the course I outlined there, you'll find two. One is you have your, for trading with US stock market, you're trading with your foreign exchanges. These are two foreign exchanges, FXCM and Oranda. It turns out if you use FXCM, you won't be able to do that in the United States. So it's not available. But Oranda is. But, my question was, well, are there others? And so what you can do is you can go to chatbot, go into a GPT chatbot and ask it, Let's ask ChatGPT. So name some FX exchanges that offer demonstrating. So I put that in FXGTP and I got MetaTrader, Orenda, Forex.com, and Plus 500. Well, those are foreign exchanges. What about the United States? Are there exchanges that offer demo trading that I can use an API just to practice? And so I put that question in GTP as, do you know of any good sources of paper trading in the US stock market? And yeah, TD Ameritrade, Interactive Brokers, Robinhood, Hood, and E-Trade. So use those, and it gives you another link to do some more research. Trading Sim, Thinkorswim, and Investopedia. Wow, and it's really educating me in an area so I can start trading. Okay, well, there's another issue. Now, once I've got my API working, I know how to trade, and I've built my automatic trading system, I want to put that in the cloud. Okay, so I go to there and I take a look at what the course says. And what the course that I listed in the study plan says is use an EC2 container in the cloud. And so I was thinking about that. And the problem I had with that being an architect is I realized that since this course was created, Lambda functions got really popular. And Lambda functions is a way to optimize your system and to trade more efficiently without the expense. So basically you can use thousands of Lambdas that will cost you nothing and get the same amount as opposed to bringing up a server in EC2 and just running it all the time where you're going to be paying cost and expense. So I want to know how to do that. So I asked GTP, how do you do that? And it gave me this list of things. And what I did is I took one of the steps and I put it back in GTP, hoping that would give me a program on how to run a Lambda function in the AWS cloud. So let's see if that works for us. We're going to go to GTP. Bring that up. We'll clear the context here. And we'll paste it in. And GTP starts to explain to me what it's going to do, okay, and how you're supposed to make this run, and about grabbing keys, and about creating a Lambda function, all right? Now you enable that Lambda function and use an SNS, and what an SNS is a pub sub. So basically you subscribe to the SNS topic, and when something happens that you're interested in looking at, it sends you an email. Okay. You're going to use EventBridge, which basically is a cloud mechanism. It's like EventBridge is like it's like cloud events on storage. I mean, excuse me, on it's like cloud events on steroids, and it just almost is immediate. So there you go. It told me how to do it all. Can you write the program? Let's put that in and ask it to write the program.
It's
So
like it
but
saves up the
it gave me
earlier like
it gave me a step by step on how to do it. So now I wanted it to write the program to do it. Yeah, and it remembers what it just told me. And that's what's so powerful about this. Unfortunately, I am not able to write a complete program as it would require significant time and effort. So additionally, without access. So indeed, I can provide some sample code. Okay, let's get the sample code. It's going to give me some sample code.
it's a
So this is,
negotiator. It's
yeah,
a
there you
negotiator. It starts off with a hard line and then it'll like, all right, but I
go.
can do this.
Yeah, it gave me a little bit of code. Now, previously I got a lot more code from it. So if you work with it and you know what kind of questions to ask, it can give you a lot more code. Okay. And it gives you a starting point. But it also talks about alpaca. So you can use this with Google to go and search and see if is there anything out there with alpaca and Lambda functions. And if you search on the web, you'll find out two really good resources. Okay. And here was the code that it gave me previously just by the question that I asked. And you can see it's pretty detailed. So you need to go through that. It's definitely a good starting point to play around with code. But I actually went in here and I searched the web from some of the information I got from GPT. And I found out, well, here's a good article on how to build Lambda functions for algorithmic trading. And here's a guy, his name is Part-Time Larry. He has a whole video series on building Lambda functions for automated trading using Alpaca. Exactly what GPT is talking about. So yeah, found it very useful for that. So that worked out really well. And that's the series of demos that I gave. And then I talked about a little bit how my brain just got bigger. All right, just to be honest with you, I am pretty much like, wow, finally it's something I can use. And I've always been like, these whole brain interfaces, Elon Musk is doing, with Neuralink, and then you got now have the not so invasive electrodes that you can put in nerve cells that talk to the brain, allows you to control computers. Always been like this, somewhat apocalyptic sounding to me, but if you could wire me up to GPT or 3, something like this, I might go for it because it really pretty much expands your IQ. You can now do stuff much more rapidly. Now, let me explain what I mean here. The way coding is done today, it's pretty much like making a flute. You ever watch these videos on making a flute? I got a link here below. And so each time you create a piece of software, it's like you are like custom fitting it, right? Oh, the hole goes here and the key goes here. Let's make it. And the type of people that make these flutes are not necessarily your innovators, okay? And below this, what about playing a flute? That's a different type of activity. And so when you move into a technology like this, what you're doing is you're moving from that area of making a flute, now something else is making for it, to where you're playing a flute, where you're innovating. It's a different mentality. And so if you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, there's actually really 2 levels of this. And if you're familiar with Dan Pink's work on, knowledge creation, you have these people down here, the 2/3 of the population, which are pretty much in this safety needs and psychological needs gamut. They're what I call brain cell death, where they're making widgets. And what Dan Peek does in his research, he shows that, look, if you give people more money or you threaten them, they make more widgets, okay? But if you're making knowledge and you give people more money or threaten them, you get less widgets. Because these people in this realm of thought, they actually run on 3 things. They run on a sense of purpose. They run on autonomy, they run on mastery, okay? And that's what GTP kind of adds the roots of what I call positive brain cell growth when you're learning. So this is my business. And so when I work with developers or I work with people who are creating knowledge, I don't use carrots and sticks because that's brain death. But you want to use a system where you're having positive brain growth. And so when you're here and you're just creating code like this, where each thing is just like custom fit. And that's kind of what we're doing in coding right now. We're custom fitting. We create methods and everything, but then new code comes along and create different methods and just refitting and refitting and refitting. And what Chat PT3 allows you to do is get out of the weeds, okay? Get above it and actually start innovating. And so the skills that are going to be used here are a different type of mentality, is different skill sets. The skill set of an innovator. There's a lot of people that aren't really good at innovating music, but they can play what's on the on the score. And so it's a different skill set. So you're thinking differently about what you're doing. So that's what you got. With ChatGPT, you're in this higher level, this upper level of Maslow's hierarchy needs. And so, and if you've experienced that, if you've been a Scrum Master and you've worked with a lot of people that are in coding, some are a little bit autistic and they don't really create well, but they can really code. But you have to tell them exactly what to code. Once you get above this and you've got an AI writing code, or you're doing code assistance like you just saw with ChatGPT, you're able to innovate and move at like you're flying. You can innovate, you can move at a more rapid pace. Now, is this system perfect? No, but it's out of the gate doing stuff that's really helping me. For me, being an educator, I can immediately use this, and it is accelerating what I do. But you guys actually, if you're in the weeds of coding, and you're going to have to do a little bit more work. Okay. And with that said, that's pretty much the end of today's presentation. And with that said, I show the appendix, and I had various questions in that appendix, but I have one more example for you today that's going to blow you out of the
Oh,
water.
cool.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. I got to look at my email real quick, if you don't mind, because I actually sent something out to Baby Nay. All right. And this is a story about our family.
Oh,
This is a story about our family. Okay. Are you ready?
yes,
Are you ready for this?
yes. Oh,
It's something I sent that was written by GPT to Baby Nay. Okay. So what happened was, is that Nay one day took the computer I bought her to the pool, right? Because she wanted to work on an assignment. Okay. And then I guess the computer fell into the water and was fried. And Baby Nay wouldn't be honest with me about what happened. So
oh,
we're gonna see if GPT can write a screenplay about what happened, okay?
oh. This just gets deeper and deeper. Oh, Naomi. She didn't tell you about, she wasn't honest about what happened. Screenplay, what? This is gonna be crazy. Oh.
Okay, let's see if it can give us a screenplay. So I don't like what I'm getting there, so I'm gonna ask it to do something different.
This is pretty good though.
Oh, so you're happy with this?
Oh, I like this a lot.
Let's see, write um, as a conversation.
Hey, you're pretty cool. You're a pretty cool dad in this story.
I have something to tell you. I accidentally dropped my computer in the pool today and it's ruined. What? How did that
Your
happen?
computer? Oh yeah.
I was working on an assignment for school at the pool and some kids splashed water in my direction. I jumped up to scold them, but the process, I knocked my computer off the edge. Dad, oh no, did you try to turn it on? Yeah, I tried a few times, but it's not working. I'm sorry, Dad. All right. Okay. Accidents happen. So
Fade
anyway,
to black.
okay. So that's one story. So one of the things is
God,
now if you see the
she was
story,
like disowned. In the
if you see the
it's black.
if you see the previous story that I actually sent her in the email, it's a lot more involved, and it actually shows her trying to deceive her father. So it's amazing. This depends on you how you ask the questions and you pose the scenario.
Wow.
But what I want to
Yeah.
know as an instructor, I might go, well, okay, give me 4 questions So I've created a screenplay. I want to make sure people read it. So I'm gonna have it create some questions for me.
Oh my god. I feel like mom could use this in her classes.
Okay,
She
so
could
I lost context, so I need to say for the story above. So this is not what I want.
oh, you got it.
It just gave me 4
Yeah.
questions, so I should have said for the story above. So let me go back. Give me 4 questions about the story of Naomi. With 4 possible answers, 1 correct. Let's see if it does that. There you go.
Teacher, doctor, artist. Love it. I like that.
I mean, this is the most painful thing to do, and is to go back and create questions, and it's so time consuming, and yet this is doing it very rapidly for me.
He is understanding. Oh.
Let's say, can you create more of a story around the questions? See, those are kind of brief, right?
Hmm.
And I don't think I asked the right question, but anyway, you get the idea, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a
This is
second.
crazy.
All right, a second. Let's see what it's going to do. Let's see if it gives me a question. Okay, now it's creating a different scenario. But what was going on but what was she going to do now? She couldn't afford to replace the computer, and she knew her dad would be furious if he found out. So now it's kind of giving me a different scenario because I asked a different question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Felt a wave of relief over her. She was
Poor
grateful of her
Naomi.
dad's. Oh, it wrote a story around the question. Look at that. Well, there you have
That's
it. I would have to tell it to write a question, a belief story around each one. And so now, so many people were using this. You can see we got a network error, so we
yeah,
have
yeah.
to refresh and ask another question because it's done. So there you go. I
I
mean,
cannot believe it. I
yeah,
cannot believe it
yeah.
that it just wrote paper for you, you
I
know?
know, I know. And so education has just got super challenged because how do you rein this in, right? If I'm in an
Yeah.
English class, matter of fact, this is better. This is typically you read a lot of questions that people write, even on professional exams, and it's just worded crazy. And so this is, this is giving you great English. I mean, it's written very well. So, and the
Yeah, it
story,
really is. It's
and,
like it
and
really
this,
is like
and the stories make sense, right? Oh my goodness.
yeah,
All right.
they make good sense. They make better sense than a lot of people would write them.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you have
Dude,
it.
you
Welcome to the new world, man.
how
GPT,
exciting, exciting.
artificial intelligence is here, and it's on fire. And every
Yeah.
day something new is coming out,
Wow.
and we're at a run to keep up with it. But as you learn Python, right, you can now use this tool to help you out, right, in your learning.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
it's so cool.
So
That's exciting.
we're actually going to use it in the cloud group to actually write a PCEP prep course for Udemy, and we'll use GPT on learning Python. And
That's
that'll take a few weeks, but once we get that out the door, and on the Udemy, I'll have you. It'll be free, of course. You can sign up for free, take the course. Okay.
that's awesome.
Well,
Yeah,
thanks
I'm
for
excited.
coming. Was it worth coming?
Definitely.
Okay, so
Definitely.
do you have the link to get signed up on?
Um, you sent me a link in the beginning of the
Yeah, yeah, it
presentation.
should be in the chat. Are you there?
Let me get that out of my Zoom
There,
then.
there you go. Make sure you get that link and then sign up and start playing around.
You definitely. I might use it
And
at work.
you can use it at work for sure.
Let's see, chat. It's just chat.openai.com/chat.
Yep, that's it. And if you
Awesome.
forget that, just go to the web and search on Chat GPT. Okay.
Cool. You know what? Let me just take a picture of it.
Mhm.
It's so easy to type. Got it.
All right.
That's exciting. I love it. So Naomi, how much was that? How much did that computer cost?
you
Was it
had
a
to
nice one?
you had to tell Nay that you saw the story that
It's so funny.
Chat GPT
She's
wrote.
this is such a new way to discipline children. You write a screenplay about it
Yeah,
in AI,
yeah,
and then you do a multiple choice question afterwards to
yeah.
rub it in. That's a whole new
I
change.
never thought about parenting that GPT that Chat GPT now gets into the parenting arena, but I guess you're right. Wow.
If they're teenagers, you can capitalize on the embarrassment aspect of it.
There you go.
Parenting for teens.
Yeah, parenting using Chat GPT. Wow, I never thought about it.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that's what I'm talking about is what you're thinking now, is it takes you out of the weeds and you start innovating. You know, it's like gives you wings to think about things you've never thought about because you're not worrying about,
Yep.
the mechanics. You're worrying about imagination and how
Yep.
to make things work together and how you can use this to create amazing stories that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise. So yeah, it opens up a that's why so many people are adapting it because they're meeting seeing the value and they're going, wow, this is amazing.
It's like it gives you a promotion because it
it,
reminds me of
it
my job.
I just got smarter. I mean, I had this slide. I said I just got smarter. My brain just got bigger.
It's like
Absolutely.
I just hired an associate, like
Absolutely.
someone they do the dumb groundwork, and then you review it and tweak it.
Yeah.
It's almost like
Absolutely.
it's like you hired an associate to start to do the stuff for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only just an associate, a really smart associate.
A good associate, yeah, it's hard to find good help these days.
You
That's
just
cool.
found one. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you
And and
did.
and when it comes to Agile, you would actually integrate ChatGPT as an Agile team member, that you would work with, and that would be the scenario to actually accelerate your Agile development work. Yeah.